The games of 2023 were sensational. Heck, already did a video with some friends on our best games that came out last year. But I feel with time continually turning, we always be looking at the new and sparkly games that come out and can sometimes lead us to forget the games that came out in the years prior. So welcome to the 2023 Retro-ish Game of the Year. Right off the bat, the term retro is going to be used incredibly loosely, and by that I mean 2022 and backwards. So, with that sorted, join my friends and I as we talk about our retro-ish game of the year. I played so many brilliant games last year, from Resonance of Fate, Prince of Persia and Professor Layton and The Lost Future. But there was one that stood taller among the rest, and that was Tales of the Abyss. This game took me for a ride that I never expected to experience. This is easily one of the best RPGs I've ever played, and a lot of that praise comes down to the story and the excellent character development that unravels across its narrative. Luc von Fabre's journey as an individual throughout this game is insane. His growth is so damn good. I know this game is old, but I don't want to spoil this at all. It's something you really want to experience and enjoy on your own terms, without my poorly explained reasons as to why it's masterful. But the other characters are no slouches either. I adore Jade so much, and his sarcasm gives me life. Or Tyr and her inner conflict, or even the bestest bud you could ever ask for with Guy. The cast is just so well humanized in a lot of aspects, and that's always something the Tales of games have succeeded at, but it's on a whole other level with Abyss. And the engagement with these characters is brought to a whole other level with the phenomenal performances that are given. Yuri Lowenthal as Luke, Kirk Thornton as Jade, Nicole Ballack as Tyr, and Liam O'Brien as Dist, along with every other actor, inhabit their roles so well and truly bring them to life. The gameplay is pretty darn solid too as an action JRPG. Nothing beats getting a high combo, and with its mix between close combat and magic, it can feel refreshing as you mix them up or just focus on one or the other. The game looks great, and the open world is fun to traverse and find many of its secrets. The music is fantastic. I do find myself revisiting a few tracks the odd time, like Meaning of Birth and Finish the Promise, and getting to experience this on my 2DS was fantastic. Nothing is quite as good as a JRPG on the go. From travelling, bed, or even going for a dump, being able to play it anywhere was a joy. Mad that it took till the 3DS version before us simple European folk could play this game. But this game is phenomenal and truly worth taking a look at. It's easily up there as one of my all-time faves now. But enough about my pick. On to my first buddy to share their retro-ish pick.
Hello! John aka Chicken Fillets here, and thank you to Pat from Frames for having me on to tell you about the best game that I played in 2023. Now 2023, as we know, was a stellar year for games in general. For once I don't have to basically go on about JRPGs, I can go on about all games. But wait, that wouldn't be the Chicken Fillet way. But the most important game to me of 2023, and it actually landed in my number one spot for the games I played in 2023, well, it is Nier Automata. Now this was the first time I fully completed Nier Automata, where I went through the different scenarios with our favourite androids 2B, A2 and 9S. And I tell you what, I was not ready for the emotional rollercoaster of a story that Nier Automata provides. This game also has slick and stellar combat, an absolute gorgeous world, well, I say gorgeous, desolate, but it's still gorgeous. And a combat system which raises the bar completely for action JRPGs. There is no other combat system like this. And I can already hear people typing, well, there's Bayonetta and all the Platinum games. You know what I mean. This game's story has stuck with me throughout 2023. The music is always playing in my head. That theme song, The Weight of the World, is a beautiful piece of music. This is not only my favourite game of 2023, it's now one of my all-time favourite games that I've ever played. It is that great. And you know what I'll tell you? I want you to play this game, because if you've not, you are in for a hell of a trip. But anyway, thank you to Pat from Frames for having me on once again to tell you about, well, 2023's greatest release, which never came out in 2023. Anyway, let's see what all our other buddies are saying. Tatty bye.
In 2023, I completed 55 games. As part of my YouTube channel, these range from modern titles like Baldur's Gate 3 all the way down to PlayStation 1. These included handhelds, including the awesome Danganronpa 2, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, and my pick for Retro Game of the Year 2023, Lumines. Handhelds have been quite the haven for match puzzlers, starting with Tetris on the Game Boy, but Lumines proved a particularly distinctive effort in this genre, attempting to meld music and match puzzling in time for the launch of PlayStation Portable, and it's simply excellent, taking up many hours of my time. The novel twist on the Tetris formula sees you trying to match a 2x2 square of 2 colours, as blocks randomly drop down. Clearing multiple block combos rewards a multiplier, rewarding riskier stacks with more points. It works extremely well, but is buoyed by an immensely captivating presentation. The abstract backgrounds are tailored to the eclectic soundtrack, perfectly marrying both to keep you entranced. Shinin', the initial challenge mode song, sees the background swap between a day-night aesthetic as the song sways between upbeat and mellow. Speaking of modes, there's tons here, ranging from the aforementioned challenge mode, time attacks, and a ton of versus modes, which can even be played with AI. There's just so much to love about this one, and considering it's a launch title, it's remarkably deep and content-rich. Even close to 2 decades later, Lumines is still worth a spin, and it's why it's my pick for Retro Game of 2023.
What's going on, everyone? It's the Mad Belmont here. Thank you so much to Frames for having me on for this video. I greatly appreciate it. Now, when it comes to retro games that I played for the first time in 2023, I did play a lot, okay, from some Metroid games that I never got to play as a kid, to Mega Man and everything in between. I played a lot of retro games for the first time this year, but the best one to me out of all of them was, of course, none other than Metroid Zero Mission. This game is phenomenal. It literally takes everything that the original game did, which was already pretty good for the time, like, you know, a mid to late 80s game. It was already pretty good at the time, and you would think that there's not really a whole lot that they can do to make it better, but oh boy, did they ever make it better when it came to this game. Man, the gameplay is phenomenal. It's super refined. It feels more like later Metroid entries at the time, such as a Super Metroid, but with a little bit better jumping and better movement than, per se, like an original Metroid. Metroid 2, you know, felt a lot less floaty. So, you have refined gameplay. You have great graphics. You have a one-to-one remake for the most part with added sections to it. And you have a game on your hands here that is easily one of the best Metroid games out there, easily one of the best video games out there, and one that I am so glad that I can finally say I have off my bucket list of not just Metroid games, but games in general. So yeah, I have to go with Metroid Zero Mission for this one. Thank you so much to Frames for having me on again, and I will see you in the next one, my fellow Belmonts.
In 2023, I found a site called My Abandonware, which has a bunch of games that you can no longer purchase, like big box games, and I would just sift around this site for no absolute reason until I found Prey 2006. I picked this game up off a whim with no real idea of what was in store for me upon booting it up. This is one of the best games I've ever played, and it's damn near close to top of my top 5. From the introduction in the bar, the tone is set that this is something special. From interacting with the physics to messing around for hours at the pachinko machines on the side, Never in my life have I experienced such horror and fear as I had watching the abduction into the probing machine, and it had me on the edge of my seat. From that moment that the alien abduction started, I was locked into this game. The fear and the screams of humans being assimilated and mutilated to join this fleshy alien substance terrified me to my core. The atmosphere is breathtaking, along with the insane physics and technical marvels this game pulls off. Having portals before portals, gravity shifting, there's no stopping to even up to the finale of just jaw-dropping set pieces and moments that you didn't think would be possible for a video game of this era. Staring as a 757 crashes down and you finally get a scale of how big this alien ship is incredible to see, even in a replay. Not to mention the gunplay and general gameplay is superb. You don't die in this game per se. Instead, you go to the astral plane and shoot these spirits and increase your health and spirit gauge, and you just appear right back where you were into the firefight, ready to keep going. Each gun has a primary and secondary utilities, such as this weird assault rifle that also is your sniper rifle, or your shotgun being your grenade launcher. Every gun has its use, and to conquer and save your girlfriend and escape this towering alien warship, you will need to master each and every one. This game was a genuine surprise for me, and one that instantly put me into the eyes of Tommy, trying to escape and figure out what is going on and how to escape. This is one of the few games that made me shed actual tears from the progression of the story and left me standing up with a round of applause as the credit rolls. Prey 2006 will undoubtedly go down as one of my favorite and one of the best games I've ever played, and the best game I played in 2023. And sidebar a little bit on this game, it's very cool to me, regardless of how much this game was in development hell, that they actually reached out and got real Cherokees to help them with the lore of the tribe, as well as getting real Cherokee actors to voice act all of the characters. It only makes me more sad that I can now understand why everybody was upset that Prey 2 was cancelled, especially after seeing the leaked gameplays that's come out over the years of that second game and how cool it would have been. But I mean, hey, at least we got this other game, I guess.
This was a game that took me by surprise because of how amazing it is. Released in 2010 on PS3, Xbox 360 and PC, this time-bending first-person shooter is based on a strange island held by the Soviet Union. We play as Captain Renko, and we're given a wrist-mounted TMD, or time manipulation device, which we can use to restore or age items and humans. The combat is fun, and you have quite the arsenal to hand, with pistols, rifles and shotguns, to a special TMD weapon called the Seeker. This enables you to fire a bullet, then control it until it hits the intended target. The time bending isn't limited to the TMD, however. We can find rifts which take us back and forth to 1955, and we can also carry items through these rifts to help with puzzles or traversal. The story can be a little hard to follow at first, with characters' names being thrown at you from the start, but I got really into it and felt completely immersed in changing the timeline for the better. We're even given a choice to make at the end, and depending on how you interpreted the story, you can fix the current timeline or create a whole new one. If you don't own a PS3 or 360, and this looks like something fun to try, you can find it on PC, and it will definitely be worth your time.
I'm so sorry.
Hey guys, Azza the Ace here. Thank you so much, Frames, for inviting me to this nostalgic collab. So I played quite a few retro video games in 2023, mainly because I've been streaming them on Twitch since I started almost 2 years ago. And as I only just started multi-streaming a while ago, 2024 will definitely see these amazing retro games on my YouTube channel too. Just before 2023 ended, I even started playing the Game Boy version of Final Fantasy Adventure. Yeah, glad I'm not streaming that, and will instead eventually stream the remake version because, oh my god, is the OG a bit frustrating. Even though I played it more than 3 times now since 2019, this game is my favourite JRPG on the Super Nintendo, and I've been having a blast playing it over again, showing my love and passion for this incredible game on my streams. For those who already know me, you definitely know that this amazing JRPG I'm talking about is Trials of Mana. I love this game so much. It's such a beautiful game that deserves so much love and recognition. For the majority of us outside Japan, we didn't get to experience this wonderful JRPG until it was released worldwide on the Nintendo Switch with Collection of Mana in 2019. This is a game that its predecessor, Secret of Mana, could have been if it wasn't messed around because of the failure of the Nintendo Sony console, which set back Secret of Mana massively. Trials of Mana is a beautiful, incredible game that has multiple playthroughs due to the 3 different main storylines. The stories are amazing. The personalities of the 6 main playable characters are so lovable. The variety of classes you change to for each one gives so much entertainment and excitement with the new abilities you learn. You have to try them all, trust me. And the combat for every class with each character is unique and so much fun. Finally, if you know me, you know I love video game soundtracks, and the music for Trials of Mana is beautiful, epic, and unique. It brings the atmosphere so much life, and it perfectly captures the emotions of the characters and what is happening in the cutscenes. What's even better is how they stepped up and made the entire soundtrack even more awesome in the 2020 remake version of Trials of Mana. So what makes this wonderful JRPG my retro game of the year? Other than everything about this game and replaying it for the 4th time, it was who I got to meet through my streaming journey of the Mana series, and talking passionately about Trials of Mana in collabs on other gaming channels here on YouTube. I continue to meet more amazing people every time I mention it, and because I'm passionate and love Trials of Mana, I have my fellow content creator friends wanting to try out not only Trials of Mana, but the series altogether, and it brought us closer. So if you love the Mana series but haven't played the Super Nintendo version of Trials of Mana, whether on the actual console or Collection of Mana on the Nintendo Switch, do yourself a favor and play it. I can't recommend it enough. If you haven't touched a Mana game before, please give the Mana series a chance, especially Trials of Mana. I could go on and on about my love for this game, but then this segment will be too long. Once again, thank you Pat for inviting me to this collab and allowing me to express my love and passion for this game. Until the next collab, this is Azza the Ace signing off. Peace out.
Hey guys, UpperNimbus here. So Pat from Frames, thank you so much for having me on yet another collaboration of yours, this time talking about our favourite retro games. Honestly, one of my favourite retro games of all time has to be F-Zero X on the Nintendo 64. I remember playing this game for the very first time at one of my cousin's places when I was a kid, and they also had a Nintendo 64 console themselves. But the one game in their collection that I didn't have was F-Zero X, and playing F-Zero X was an absolute treat. The game was very challenging, and I had no idea how I actually managed to get through most of the tracks as a child. That weekend I was away at my cousin's, I had played through the entire campaign of F-Zero X, and my favourite character of choice was Jodie Summer. I absolutely loved the vehicle she was in. It felt so good and was just amazing turning corners with it. The high-speed nature of going through loop-de-loops and upside down and twisting and turning around corkscrews was so adrenaline-inducing, and it got me so pumped up and excited when I was playing the game. Of course, it sucked balls when I fell off the track and became a meteor crashing down to the land below. And oh my god, how could I forget about the music in this game? F-Zero X has some of the most iconic music in video games. I love the theme to Mute City and obviously Big Blue especially. That song is so goddamn catchy, man. Oh, it's so upbeat and energetic, and it just makes me think of really happy sunny blue sky days. And that's why F-Zero X is my personal favorite game from the Nintendo 64. Pat from Frames, thank you so much for having me on this awesome collaboration of yours. I am looking forward to everybody else's choice within this video. Until the next time, everybody, UpperNimbus is signing off.
Hi there, this is Chris from Makopowered, and my pick for my favorite game that I played in 2023 is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night on the Nintendo Switch, although it's also available on PlayStation and Xbox as well. The reason I went with Bloodstained is because not only does it just feel good to play, it delivers on the promise that Mighty No. 9 failed to fulfill. It is a crowd-funded spiritual successor to one of the greatest and longest-running game series of all time, helmed by the person who brought the series to its greatest heights of popularity, and it actually lives up to the initial pitch. This game is 100% the spiritual successor to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, evoking the feeling of playing that game while evolving the mechanics and game design in meaningful ways. When I said that it feels good to play, that's because it reminded me of when I played through Symphony of the Night for the first time, discovering secrets, exploring the castle, and fighting the monsters. Everything in this game evokes the earlier experience in the best way possible. The gothic art style, the character design which emulates Ayami Kojima's artwork, the fantastic music directly from Symphony of the Night composer Michiru Yamane, the cheesy dialogue, the hidden reel ending, the fluid minute-to-minute gameplay, all of it feels effortlessly familiar, yet excitingly new. The thing is that Bloodstained doesn't just draw on Symphony's legacy, it expands on other games in the series as well. Were you a fan of the Soul system in games like Aria of Sorrow or Order of Ecclesia? That's here too, with enough iteration to keep it from feeling same old. Did you think the touchscreen controls in Dawn of Sorrow were interesting, but not quite fully baked? Bloodstained uses the right stick to similar effect, but doesn't force the player to use it if they don't want to. Then there are the new elements, which also aren't intrusive, but build on the mechanics and world building in the game. See, when you start the game, you rescue a village from an onslaught of demons and monsters. Afterwards, you can help the survivors rebuild. There's the farmer who will grow crops from the seeds that you bring him, the old woman who wants to enjoy food again, so has you make various recipes, the little girl who hero worships your player character, and the delightfully unhinged survivor who demands blood vengeance on the monsters who slaughtered her friends and family. In other words, there is a village management side game here, but one you aren't forced to play. You can engage with it or not as you see fit. Plus, come on, the game has David Hayter as a crusty demon-hunting samurai, one you can play as once you unlock him. On top of all of this, Bloodstained managed to bring back classic 8-bit Castlevania in the form of its companion games, Curse of the Moon and Curse of the Moon 2. These games play like modern interpretations of Castlevania 3, complete with character switching, branching paths, and more. Here as well though, there is enough iteration that neither of these games feel stale or like just a throwback. They are exciting, visceral, and well worth the asking price of $10 each. So yeah, because Bloodstained delivers on its crowdfunding promises and manages to resurrect the Castlevania franchise in its most famous iterations in all but name, it is my game of 2023.
Hey everyone, what up? MadKaiser here, and thanks once again Pat for allowing me to be here, especially for round 2. Now of course, I talked about a game I played in 2023 in the last one, which was a 2023 release. Now this one, I decided to go a bit retro and talk about a game I really loved that while wasn't made in 2023, I still loved regardless. And that is none other than the legendary JRPG masterpiece, Chrono Trigger. Now, I'm sure many of you are aware of its reputation, given the fact it was a very ambitious JRPG for Super Famicom, being made what is considered to be the Dream Team, which having, legendary staff members like Hironobu Sakaguchi, the creator of Final Fantasy, Yuji Horii, the creator of Dragon Quest, as well as Akira Toriyama, who was not only the creator of Dragon Ball, but also served as the character designer for Dragon Quest, and well, this game in particular. Not only that, but it had amazing music composed by, at the time, who was very new, Yasunori Mitsuda, and the rest being done by legendary FF series composer Nobuo Uematsu. This game was absolutely timeless, no pun intended, from having really an amazing story, especially with revolving around its unique time travel mechanics, as well as having, being brilliantly paced and having a very enjoyable cast of characters, as well as an engaging combat system, especially with the whole dual tech and triple tech system. It made it absolutely phenomenal, and with the time period travel thing McKinney, you are able to go through different periods of time, some of which have their own things like their own unique dungeons, their own unique enemies, as well as even, recruiting new party members, as well as even some of them even affect NPC dialogue to the point that they feel very fleshed out and have their own, character arcs in a sense. It was absolutely such a banger of a JRPG, and I'm very glad to have played it, especially for my 500 subscribers special. It was truly a phenomenal game, and honestly, to this day, Chrono Trigger should stand as one of the best JRPGs, actually even one of the best video games of all time. Absolutely wonderful. And thank you once again, Pat from Frames, for allowing me to be here. Until then, MadKaiser out.
Crack-a-lackin' everybody, I hope you're all doing well. This is the Platinum Jack, and I would love to thank Pat for having me on for this video. So, I'm sure you're all thinking, this guy's probably going to just talk about Yakuza or Like a Dragon again, and well, I'm here to tell you, no, I'm not. I am here to talk to you today about the absolutely criminally underrated Sleeping Dogs. I would highly recommend, because they're, as I said already, it's a criminally underrated game. If you liked the likes of True Crime LA, it is a spiritual successor to that, and well, honestly, you play as a cop or infiltrating the Hong Kong Triad. There's nothing more badass that I can say about it, because it's just that damn good. Even though at times all I could think was Rush Hour. The amount of times I thought Rush Hour during that game was unbelievable. That's more so because of one of the characters, who I won't get into too much because spoilers. And well, I know Rush Hour's a 20-odd-year-old film, and Sleeping Dogs is close to a 15-year-old game at this stage. But where do I begin with Sleeping Dogs? Do I begin with the story? Do I begin with the gameplay? Do I begin with the combat? Who knows? We'll spin the wheel and we'll find out. But no, in all honesty, I think I'll start with the combat, because, well, the combat, to me, harkens back to the old Batman Arkham Asylum and City days. The martial arts side of things is very well done. The only problem I have with it is the fact that about halfway through the game they introduce guns, and you can tell that the game was never really properly built for gun combat heavily in mind. It was all mainly aimed towards actual martial arts and the physical combat side and the melee combat side properly done before anything else, and you can really feel it. But at the same time, when you're kicking the crap out of someone in melee style, it is so damn good. Same with and then you've also got the environment kills with melee, which are even better. It's great crack just grabbing some dude and just shoving his head into AC fans, and you just see them getting ground up a bit, and it's gory as hell, but at the same time it's like, god damn, that is fantastic. I need more of that. And honestly, I do need more Sleeping Dogs, but sadly we will never see a sequel because the studio shut down. So keeping in line on the mechanics, I will say that the driving mechanics in the game can take a little bit of getting used to, because while they start off a little bit floatier nearly than the likes of the GTAs and everything else like that, and once you actually start getting to come to grips with the driving mechanics in it, it gets so much better, and it feels tighter than it actually starts off with. Now, saying that, if you get on a bike in it, you're still going to absolutely launch yourself if you're not careful, but you know what, if you're playing a GTA style game or a game like Sleeping Dogs and you don't make the character fly off a bike, are you really playing it right? Now, in terms of story, I'm not going to give too much detail away, but you play as main character Wei Shen. You're a cop from America who's come home to Hong Kong, and you're infiltrating the triads to try and take them down from the inside. And honestly, the twists and the turns and the absolute gut punches that this story pulls, honestly, I'd looked at Sleeping Dogs many times over the years before I originally played it back on the Xbox One because it was Remake Games of Gold at the time. And it's a game that I regret not picking up sooner. Like Yakuza, it's one of those games that once you sit down with it, you realise this is why it gets the praise it does. It's not universal praise, but when it does get praise, you will understand. If you play it yourself, you will understand the praise that it does get is warranted. But I will leave everybody with one line and one line only from Sleeping Dogs, because it is a line that has stuck with me ever since my very first playthrough of the game, and that is, "Man who never eats pork bun is never a whole man." And believe me, I was very tempted to put on the accent, but I was like, no, that would not be a good idea. No. I would like to say thank you very much to Pat, and I would like to thank everybody for coming in and watching the video, and hopefully we'll see you in another video. Bye-bye, folks.
Hey everybody, it's me, CrimsonRosso. You've probably heard of me as the guy who did that thing that one time. And yes, I did come out of the hospital with only half my bones. And as for my pick of this list, I wanted to talk about a game I hold very dear to my heart. And that is Xenoblade 3. Now, I've been a very big fan of the Xenoblade franchise, ever since the Definitive Edition came to Switch and I finally got to play all the titles. Although, I did have the 3DS port and I never finished that, but then Switch came along and I was like, yeah, I'll just beat it on there. I tore into 2 when I played that bad boy, and 3 was my most hyped game of 2022. And once I got my hands on its special edition, also fuck Wario, God was I feasting on this absolutely phenomenal title. Every single second of this game was just downright incredible. From its emotionally gripping and easy to both love and relate to, its cast of characters, to its more dark and serious narrative that tackled concepts like death, purpose, and identity, to the evolved combat system that incorporated job swapping of all things, to add immense amounts of customization and variety. Everything just comes together so goddamn well in order to craft an experience that I consider to be as close to perfect as possible. And that's why I adore the game, because you know, it's just that good. That's all from me. Thanks to Frame and everyone else for letting me take part in this video, and I'm gonna go get some food or something. Take care.
And that be our retro-ish picks of 2023. It was oddly endearing to put this list together with friends and see the wide range of games people have fallen in love with that have come out across all the years of gaming, even shining some light on games I never would have heard of or even seen. I cannot thank my friends enough for helping out on this little video and sharing the games that make our hobby so much more fun to engage in. Be sure to follow them all, they are such a talented bunch of people. And until next time friends, take her handy.